I would have spoiled so much if I would have started with the main screen. Welcome back for some more Kirby's Return to Dreamland Deluxe. This is my last video, but not the finale. It is just my last recorded video. Last time, for when I have previously recorded the game, we completed Extra Mode. We defeated Magolor EX and Magolor Soul. Defeated the host of the Master Crown's power. But did we actually beat the Master Crown itself? Or is the Master Crown continuing to grow in power? Mine not. And if you can't hear me, I'm sorry, but did we defeat the Master Crown in power? Or is the Master Crown continuing to build in its power, and that form of the soul was not its true power? But in this video, yet again in montage format, but it's not going to be in montage format for long, because we are doing something that I haven't done before. We are doing an ability analysis, and what that means is, you see all of these abilities? We are going to go over everything about them. And what this means is, I'm reading what the ability does and showing off some of its attacks, and then rating how I like them. And I'm rating them on the dummy as well. Starting off with this. Now, for this entire thing, this is entirely new. The ability analysis is mainly rating every ability out of 10, in my opinion, and whether it's my favorite ability or my least favorite ability in the game. And the first ability, I'm going from chronological order left to right, is Sword. Sword, the basic ability of every Kirby game, is a pretty interesting ability. Despite the fact that it was technically the same in almost every Kirby game, but they added a new attack to it, which was pressing and holding up, and then doing that slash. The focus slash would happen after you are at full health, but when you take any damage, that slash doesn't work anymore. This ability, basic ability that has happened in pretty much every Kirby game, is a pretty interesting one. Good for beginners, because every Kirby game except for one, except for a couple I guess, has this ability. So, in my rating, I'm gonna rate it a 7 out of 10, just because power wise it's not the greatest, but attack stat wise it is actually pretty good. Fire. This Mighty Inferno, and you can read all of this if you want, but I'm not gonna read the entire introduction of it. I'm just gonna rate it by attacks. I'm not showing you the attacks either. I'm only showing some of its attacks. Nothing new about this. If you have played the original game, then you know about what this does, which does massive damage, and you can put it farther away to control up and down. Nothing happens when you guard, but you can also fire dash. And you can fire spin. Nothing much that's new. My rating on it is 8 out of 10. Why? Because it's really good for range, and when the enemies are close enough, it's risky. You can actually attack at a close range against the enemies, and it deals massive damage to them. Nothing very special about that, other than in Star Allies, it actually is a thing that matters the most. The fire attacks are all the same, except for when ones are weak against it, and you do that flame inside, it deals so much damage, so much more damage. Needle, not the best ability in the game, honestly, nothing much that is new, and you can also pierce through anything. But you can't do downward spike, which is unfortunate. But you can do this, and I've never shown that. You either shake your controller, or you just rotate this circle stick, and it releases the spikes from the needle. Pretty interesting game because the first time this was introduced was, I believe, Kirby 64, and back then the needle was actually pretty interesting. The double needle released not needles but sharp tools, and the fact that you can just release these spikes in this game is even more interesting, and you can do it multiple times like a needle storm. But in all honesty, it's only good for sticking enemies inside your needle, but not in this game. This game doesn't have that. Forgotten Land does, but not this game. So my rating on this is pretty much the same as Sword, 7 out of 10. But some people might disagree and put it on like the lower or the higher. But in my opinion, I think it's cool that you can just release the needle storm anywhere, and it actually helps you against surrounding foes. Even against Magalore, if you want to use needle against him, even though you would have to go to the lore to do that. Leaf, my least favorite ability in the game. Why the heck is this in the game, honestly? Because I think, personally, this ability, despite how cool it is for you, it's the weakest ability. I never use this ability. It's not even that useful. I've tried so hard to make it useful in Kirby's Return to Dreamland, the original. It can be useful in certain ways, but I hate this ability, honestly. 2 out of 10, probably even 1 out of 10, only because, and you haven't even heard what this ability does. But you can also go in this leaf pile for the guard. That's the only good thing about this ability is when you guard, I think it covers your damage. And when you come out of the guard, it counts as a reflect back of an attack. But as in the reason why I hate this is because it does very little damage. I think only this, and I think there's also a down up attack. Might be wrong. Nope, I'm wrong. There's barely anything useful about this. I'm just curious. Okay. But still, not my favorite ability. Doesn't even feel that powerful. I'm glad it only exists in this game. If it exists in Star Allies, then I have no idea about it, but I'm certain that it only exists in this game, and I'm very glad for it. Cutter, though, pretty interesting ability, and the funniest ability because of the final Cutter. The smash that Kirby uses as his up B, except for in this case, it just does this. And you can pretty much control it at any time. In my honest opinion, this is a pretty nifty ability. Really good in damage when it reflects off of walls. And this is its thing that you can do. And the hyper boomerang is very damaging. But when it reflects off of walls, it's insane for how powerful it gets when it reflects off of walls. When it ricochets off of walls, it becomes a powerhouse of an attack. But in my rating stance, it's barely useful. The only thing that's good about it is distance attacks, where if you feel unsure about its attacks, you can just attack from a distance. But my rating from it is 6 out of 10, because the only good moves from it is this, the hyper ring, And you can also just do this for convenience. But that's sort of it. Looking at it, there's barely anything. It's sort of like Sword, but worse. That's just how I feel about it. So pretty much the best ability in this room are Sword and Fire. Sword because it has a new attack, and Fire because of its monstrous inferno that does so much damage to nearby enemies. This room, I definitely have a good rating for Whip. Sand is a tiny bit different for rating, but still sort of the same. Spark, possibly not even really my top 5 favorite abilities, but I love a lot about this ability. You can do so much with it. It's like lightning, and you can even charge attack to do so much damage to distant enemies. And you can just hold it when you hold onto a key. Rating on it, 8.5 out of 10. This is its introduction page. You can do a lot of lightning strikes. You can also do this. There's like very little things you can do, and you can also just charge up by doing this, moving so much back and forth. But that's the only thing that sort of bothers me, is trying to move back and forth, is trying to dash for a certain time, because even doing this counts as a charge. It sort of annoys me a little. That's why it's an 8.5 out of 10. Otherwise, it's ridiculous for how much damage it does. It's like a barrier almost. It doesn't really protect you against invincible enemies, but it does protect you against ones that would deal you damage other than ones that go right through. Like Scarfies, for instance. Lightning strikes are really cool too, and very nifty for certain areas. But it's not one of my top 5, and the next ability that I'm using is one of my top 5 favorite abilities. Not because of Super Kirby Clash, but it's just an overall good ability because of one of the attacks. Beam. A really cool attack where you can actually do a lot with it. Including this, which makes Wispy Witch so easy to battle against. It's not even funny because you don't even take any damage against him when you use Beam. But my favorite attack from Beam is both this and this. Otherwise, there's barely anything else that's pretty useful. There's also the whip that you do, and you slide along with it. Nothing happens when you guard, but overall rating wise, it's 9 out of 10. The reason why: 5th most favorite ability in the game. Probably 4th most favorite ability in the game. Because of the attacks being so good. The only issue with it is this attack right here, because it makes you slide and it doesn't last very long. And this is a stall fest, technically. It's overpowered, but that's not really the problem. It's just overall this attack. And you can do this with it too. And can turn around at any point as well. It's pretty good. I recommend it for probably basic speedrunners, but most likely in the original game, I recommend either this ability or the upcoming ability that you'll see, but not Spark, unless you want to be clever with holding the key. Sand, I gotta be honest with this one. Cool ability, but it's pretty much whip, but elemental. It's elemental instead of it being whip, because of this attack. It grabs the enemies just like whip. And I think, oh, it's just wait, hold on a moment. Okay, so it's just the same. The good thing about this is the sand pile guard, and you can also attack with it, like this. Pretty good, but I still don't really like it. And what's worse is the down up B. It's OP when you do it, the sand castle, but the fact that you have to press down up and B to do it is ridiculous. It's not my favorite ability if you couldn't tell already, because the only other interesting thing about it is the sand dash. I've already said the sand castle attack was pretty interesting, but it's really hard to do. And this attack overall is very interesting because it goes through certain objects, but not through solid objects like this. And sandballs are pretty good too, along with the guard attack. I was going to rate this 2 out of 10, but I'm actually going to rate this 4 out of 10, just because I feel like this is very close to being the second weakest ability, but it's really the 5th weakest ability. Whip, the one up next, is technically, even though there's a whip tornado, but I really hate how you use it, and it's so hard for me to use, is pretty strong. I didn't even get to introduce you guys to sand. I'll do that real quick and you can pause to read it. But Whip is not my favorite ability. Not really like Leaf, but it's just because Whip Tornado is impossible to do. Good thing they managed to introduce this in pretty much only Kirby's Return to Dreamland and Kirby Star Allies. But trust you me, I'm only going to use Whip in Kirby Star Allies for recommended purposes, because the only cool thing about it is the fiery whip. Yes, that's a spoiler, and I'm sorry to spoil it. But here's another cool thing. It goes through solid surfaces, just like Needle. But what do I rate it? Rate it 5 out of 10. Pretty good upgrade to the sand ability, but it's only because Whip Tornado is actually powerful when done right. And there's certain other cool tactics with the whip, including you can do this, and you can do certain attacks with it. My favorite one is pressing down because that's double snapping whip. And I also like this. It's like doing a melee attack but with whip. But my honest opinion is the things that's wrong with it is it's weak in damage. The only strong damaging move it does is Whip Tornado. Which as you can see, I tried so many times to do it, and it's impossible for me to do. So that's why I don't like the ability that much. It's probably my second least favorite ability because of Whip Tornado being super ridiculously impossible to do. And the next ability I have actually collected and wasn't trying to collect it, but it ended up happening anyway, is Parasol. 4th least favorite ability. The only good thing about it is you can float down, and it's a really cool thing to do, but it also slows you down a little. There is something useful about this ability, but I don't remember how it's done. I just did it. It's up and B near foe. But it's really hard to do because you have to be really close to the foe in order to do it. And you can also do this. And as you saw, it does continuous damage. But the thing I like about it as well, it splashes. So it's pretty much when you deal with those water blocks, I think it actually depletes them. But it's really hard to deal with it. There's cool attacks that you can do, but you can't do an up B, you can't do a down up B. And there's barely anything cool about it, because the only attacks there's Parasol Shield, you can change its direction, and pretty much all of the other things I have already shown. It's not that useful, but rating wise, I'd rate it the same as Whip, 5 out of 10. It's not very damaging, that's the only reason why. This ability room, you're gonna be bound to be surprised about one of the abilities for my rating. But I love this ability, but I don't like using it for damage. Stone. Why do I like stone? It's only for one reason. And stone barely has any attacks. Also, block most enemy attacks as a stone. And I also love the fact that it has an uppercut, which does really high damage. But my favorite thing about it is it's random for the stone sculptures. But if I were to rate it anything, it would be 7 out of 10. Reason? Because the only problem with it is it's hard to get out of without taking any hits, and you have to wait until the enemy's properly far enough away to be free from the stone. Nothing happens when you guard. The only useful things about this stone is the uppercut and the heavy stone sculpture. But it's very rewarding when you get a super rare stone sculpture, because to me it's actually pretty cool. And I've managed to get every stone sculpture and put them as my thumbnail. And my thumbnail for this is another stone sculpture as well, and this time it actually makes sense for why. But yeah, 7 out of 10. Water ability. And stone is not really my most favorite ability. Water isn't either, because although I like its attacks and that you can go higher by doing this, the spout, I barely ever show it, but when you press down and up B while attacking, there's a water fountain. I think it's what it's called. Water fountain, or it's something else. Rainbow rain. Don't even get why it's called rainbow rain. Doesn't feel like a rain, it feels more like a fountain. So I wish that was called a fountain and not a rain. But rating wise, I'd rate this possibly another 7 out of 10. Not my most favorite ability out there, and the attacks are good, but the only problem with it is the only high damaging moves is so-called Rainbow Rain, the Tidal Dash, and if you want to be lucky with it, Geyser is also another high damaging move. Pretty good for distance, but it's not very damaging for the distance part. It's more of a physical based ability other than the Rainbow Rain. But it's not one of my favorites. High jump, not a good ability, in my opinion. Probably my third least favorite ability. Because despite how damaging it is, you can't attack left and right. You can only attack upwards, upper left, upper right, down right, or down left. You can't attack left or right, because it's pretty much impossible to do so. And for that reason, I really hate this ability, because it's hard to even damage bosses without taking damage. And there are some people that can do it without taking any hits, but I'm probably one of them that is like, I try so much to do it. It's very high in damage, but it's not really good. And I'm glad it didn't get introduced in Forgotten Land, but at which I would be like, how would they introduce it in there? And if they did, it would have actually sucked. Because that would have meant that would have been required for many different things. But I tried to use it as less as possible. My rating on it is 3 out of 10, because the only good thing about it is how highly damaging it is to do this. Sorry. And this. And it's pretty nifty in the challenge run only. So that's pretty much it about high jump. And I forgot to introduce the other ability, the water ability, but this is what high jump is. The rocket dive. I don't even know if I even introduced that in the game either. But I didn't introduce this. But you can read all of that by pausing. This tornado, which I love calling it tornado, because it's so funny to call it that, is my third most favorite ability in the game. There's so many good things about it. You can do so much with this ability. The upper tornado, the downward, the supercharge. It can go anywhere with it, and it helps you go higher. It does very good damage when against bosses. Really unpredictable with the bosses as well. But it's still my third most favorite ability. Probably. It's either my third or my second most favorite ability out there. But I think Beam covers I think Beam is sort of better than Tornado, so that's why I'll mark it as my third most favorite ability. Because Beam has so many good attacks that is good for distance, even good for physical based stuff. Rating on it, 8 out of 10. Only problem with it is what I already said before. It's unpredictable. It's so hard to figure out. Yes, you can pause for reading that. Because I will be going that fast for every ability. I've already introduced it in the main mode. The only ability I haven't really introduced was Leaf in main mode, but like I said, you can read it by pausing, or just go back to my main mode video to hear about what they are like. Really like this ability. Bomb is not that great. It's good for homing stuff, but it's very challenging to use. And I only try to use it for stuff that is required. I don't use it for bosses. And the only reason why I use it for bosses is because, like, the reason why I don't use it for bosses is mainly because it is, for one thing, slightly damaging, but it's also really hard to figure out what the bosses do. But what I like doing with the enemies is getting close to them and just doing this. But you can also do this. And they are time bombs as well. But if you just keep holding it, I don't know if it damages you. I don't know why talking is making my throat chunky. What I don't know is, I actually haven't figured this one out. Does the bomb damage you? No, it doesn't, thank goodness. Because if it did, and you can't do this twice. And you, oh wow. I actually didn't know you could do that. But the only good thing about the bombs is that they're homing. So you can go really high with them. You can even do this. You can get them from high places. Rating wise, 6 out of 10. Only issue is, really hard. Sorry, my word. I'm not sick, I promise. It's just hard to talk at times. But the issue with it is really hard to use against bosses because it's like homing. It's mainly used for homing, time bombs, and just holding up to an enemy. But you can't do that with bosses. You can only home in on them. So use it if you want, but I don't really like it. It's like I have to not talk as much in order to not cough so much. Because at times when I talk for a certain amount, my throat just gets chunky, and then at some point I would barely be able to speak anymore. But I only spoke for like a half an hour, and yet already I'm having a chunky feeling. Spear, really good if you're Bandana Waddle Dee because it's a spear storm, but it doesn't happen when you're Kirby. And only favorite things I like about this is, of course, this, because it's really damaging from enemies from above. I like that you can do this as well, but it's not very useful. But I also like this. I was trying to do it. You can just do it so many times. But that's sort of it. So rating wise, I'd say this ability is not very damaging. But I might be wrong. I just think that it's not very damaging of an ability. So my rating on it is a 4.5 out of 10. Because of course you already know my only issue with it is that it's not very damaging. But the only good things on it is I love how you can just do the Spear Storm. It's not called the Spear Storm. It's called something. A Spear Barrage, but I call it a Spear thing. But you can also do that. But that's only useful for bosses that are tall. And it does like 3 times the damage of a normal spear. Otherwise, it's good for defeating enemies in a line. But it's not my favorite ability. So that's why I rated it 4.5 out of 10. It's probably my 4th least favorite ability though. Just because it's not very damaging. But the good thing is, it's just like Needle. It goes through solid surfaces. Ice is like fire, but not as good. It's pretty much like the combination of water for the usefulness of dashing and doing this, and fire for the ice breath. And you can even attack from a farther away distance, I think. Or I think it's just this way all the time. And you can do this. And this. And I haven't shown this yet. If I can do it, that would be nice. I don't think I can. Okay, I can. Does that actually... That didn't instantly defeat the guy. Oh, it did. I didn't know that did that. But it's not that useful against bosses. It's only useful against an enemy. I had no idea that instantly beats the dummy. So, rating on it is 6 out of 10 because it's not that strong, and the only thing that's useful about it is that it freezes enemies. Very useful against fire tiles as well, but not the best. Not very strong. It's only strong when it's like this, or when you're lucky just doing this all the time, or ice suction. But it's not one of my favorites. But I do recommend using it if you want to freeze enemies to do high damage against mid bosses or just freezing stars or whatever. But you can't inhale them. Of course, I completely forgot to do this. And I've already told you all that you can pause to read all of these. Because I've already introduced those abilities. But if you couldn't tell already, this ability is my most favorite ever. Because you can do so much with it. There's so much that you can do that is like elemental based. And the fact that you can just place this down and it's either timed, or if you do it right above, it actually just explodes on impact. But I think the dummy is the only thing that matters for it not working there. But it does work against certain enemies. But my favorite attack is this and this. Yet again, that requires down, up, and B, but it's the most overpowered attack. And it's also overpowered because you can actually just avoid most attacks by doing this. But it's so damaging when you do it right. I also like doing this. And you can do this. First you can do this large beam, and then you can also hold it by doing this, and then you can go anywhere. You can even do it in midair. But that one's the only hard part about it. But no matter what, this is a 10 out of 10. Because it's really just my most favorite ability because of it being mecha. And it's my favorite damaging ability. I can use it no matter if it's physical or distant. because the most damaging move is both this and this. I can also choose to do this as well, and that does little damage as well. And I chose to do it against HRD3 because I wanted that Roar of DDD theme to last, because it's a really fun song to do when battling against bosses. I think I introduced it to you, but if I didn't, you already would know what it's going to be like. It's really fun to use. I barely ever use Fighter. I don't even think I used it much. But what's cool about it is it's a brawling ability. There's only like barely anything you can do for using physical and special moves. And you can also do an uppercut. But I think this one's really cool, where you can just keep going high. But my favorite is just a backwards throw. Apparently really high damaging on a physical basis, but rating wise 7.5 out of 10, just because it's mostly a physical move, but it can also be special based. And I don't know, there is, but it's only that. And there's some others. But it's mostly physical. It's only 7.5 out of 10 because of it being a physical ability. And I'm not a physical fighter in this game. I'm mostly a good distance. What did I... Oh, that was what I did. I was trying to press up and B to do this uppercut, but I didn't know you could do this. Well, not that. I didn't know you could do that either. That's also special based. I already knew you could do this, and that's really cool that it makes you go really high. But it's not my most favorite ability because it's only physical. Barely ever a special ability. But barely goes through solid surfaces, as you just saw. Wing is pretty nifty. The only thing that's useful about it is it has pretty good condor dives. And you can grab the enemies and throw them in the air. But I'm rating it like 8 out of 10 because the only cool thing about this ability is just, for one thing, very bad damage when it's from a distance. It's another mainly physical damaging ability. And really hard to not take any damage when you use it against enemies. It's like it's a speedrun ability and not an actual damaging ability. It's not my favorite when it comes to damage. My battery's low, I didn't notice. My word, my volume is way too low for this. And I'm trying not to bore you guys with the ability analysis, but if I am boring you guys and you don't want to know my ratings on all of the abilities, and I'm actually almost done already. I already did my ratings on this wing ability, I think. No, I didn't. I think I rated this like 6 out of 10. That's my rating on it, at least. The only good thing is it makes you go fast when flying, and its physical damage is really OP, and if you can figure out how to get around the bosses, not that bad of an ability at all. But that's just about it. There's nothing much that's special about it. It's been a thing since, I think, Kirby Superstar. But now we're on our final ability chamber. And I have some good words to say about this. You already know that Mecha is my most favorite ability, so you wonder what my 4th most favorite ability is. And that is what's below Kirby right now, but I'm not going over it yet. The first ability I'm going over, which is ridiculous in damage, is Crash. But my only rating on it is, it's a good ability. It's been introduced in some games. Kirby Superstar was its first. And the high damaging move is this. The Hypernova. But it's apparently not very damaging. So, overall, not that great of an ability because it only hits once, and the only good thing about it is it's very damaging. But my rating on it is 8 out of 10 because it's super damaging and it has two different moves. Hypernova, and I'll introduce it as well. And yeah, you only get one chance. It's Crash Fireball, or I guess it's Supernova and not Hypernova. But it's 8 out of 10 otherwise. Hammer has gotten completely buffed because originally it was just this for the uppercut. But King Dedede is OP with this ability. He is ridiculous when you use King Dedede with this ability. Really good to use when you are playing Star Allies because otherwise it's really hard to do anything in that game without using him. And the three sisters. But this is its introduction. And the interesting thing about this ability, and it's my fourth most favorite ability in the game, sort of. It's pretty much either my fourth or my third. My favorite thing is that's so powerful when you charge it up all the way. It does so much damage. It's already blinking red a little, I thought. I guess not, but this dummy is pretty much like powerful anyways. Only bothersome thing is it's not special based, it's only physical. The only special thing is something that you cannot keep when you are Kirby. That is the hammer throw. When you dash and press Y, it does so much damage, but you just lose the ability. And I'll try to show it, but that's like the most damaging thing you can do with hammer. And I did it. It's already blinking pretty rapid. My rating on it is 9 out of 10. Only because it's so high in damage. And they really buffed it in this game. Love that they introduced this. Festival. And I love how it says now Popstar Fields Deluxe because this ability was only introduced in Star Allies and then it got introduced again in this game. Rating on it is 8 out of 10 because it's only useful when you feel like celebrating something. Like I will celebrate right now that this is my last video that I'm recording, but not the finale. And I'm going to do this again in 100% completion. Because I think it's different when you do it that way. My word, it actually gave you stars as well. I didn't know they did that. 8.5 out of 10 changing ratings because I had no idea it actually rewards you as well. But it's a really fun ability to use when you feel like celebrating something. Because in this case, it's celebrating the fact that they've made so many Kirby games and I don't think they're gonna stop yet. Ninja. Not quite a favorite ability of mine, but the cool thing I like about it is in Superstar, this attack, you go high and go right back down. But my favorite thing to do in Superstar is do it, and he just vanishes and comes right back crashing down. And I like that you can just cling onto walls. But I don't really like it. It's sort of like... It's more of a physical ability, if anything. Because the only special things he can do is with his shurikens. but they're not really shurikens in this case. They're just tiny blades. But yet they call them shurikens anyway. I think. If I can see it. It should say B repeatedly, but I'm not seeing that anywhere. Down B, up and then down. Oh, I forgot about this. I forgot about Blossom Storm. Press and hold B near an enemy for a quad shock. Oh, that's what they meant by quad shock. I'm only doing this because I had no idea that you could do it. Wait, I had no idea that you could do this either. Doesn't say anything for when you press B repeatedly. That's sort of dumb. They used to. I guess it's just knife throw is what they're saying. So they call them knives in this game. I'm just seeing if I can damage this guy. Yes, I can. Rating wise, I'd rate it probably 7.5 out of 10 just because it's a cool ability to use physically. It's better to use it physically than specially because its special damage isn't that powerful. This is a pretty nifty ability. Mike. There are 4 attacks they can do with it. And I've already introduced this in the main mode. But there's 4 attacks you can do, although there's 3 times that you can sing it. But the first one is just using the mic or the megaphone. That's the second, and either the third one is just this, or he literally says disco, and I really like that. I like that his disco in Superstar is really deep. And I gotta wait, and then I can do it here. Doesn't sound as cool here, but no matter what, on the rating part of this, it's 9 out of 10 because for one thing, you can attack 3 times, and the second is that he actually says disco. That's pretty much it on that rating stand. So if you want to know all of the abilities from the top 5 most favorite and the top 5 least favorite abilities, I'd say that my most favorite abilities are Tornado, Mecha. I'm not doing top 5 yet. My most favorite abilities for the 5 are Hammer, Festival, Mecha, Tornado, and Beam. And my least favorite abilities are Leaf, Needle, Sand, because Sand is pretty stressing to use, Whip, and Wing, I guess, because I barely ever used Wing. But in terms of what is my most favorite and what is my least favorite, I'd say top 5 most favorite abilities is, I'd say my 5th most favorite ability. It's really hard to decipher because I like a lot of these abilities, but in all honesty, Hammer is my 5th most favorite ability because it used to be my most favorite ability in a lot of Kirby games, and I used to use it in the original version, but I don't anymore. I use it barely anymore because they've actually made way better abilities. The 4th most favorite ability that out of the 5 that I said is something that I'm looking through, but in all honesty, I'd say my 4th most favorite ability is Tornado. Because it's only unpredictable for the reason why it's not higher up. Festival is my 3rd most favorite because I always celebrate something when I use it. And what I celebrate is the fact that, for one thing, I beat the game, but I haven't 100%ed it yet. And when I beat the challenge stages, spoiler alert, I actually do 100% it because I've already beaten in this day zone. I've actually beaten the other things, even the true arena. But I'm not going to spoil what's in the true arena because that's for you guys to see in the finale. And I'm editing in my 100% completion clip because I don't want to spoil any of that. I'm hoping that actually gives you the 100% completion clip and that you don't have to do the Magoland to actually 100% the game. Because I completed every mission except for the other 15. Or 14, I don't actually know how many. 2 more to say. The other one is Beam. Beam is a really cool ability to use in most games. And my first time seeing it, I had no idea how to use it properly. And that was until Super Kirby Clash that I realized that it's a really useful ability. But in that case, that ability was actually the best ability in that game. And the worst ability was that Doctor ability. I'm not even going to play Super Kirby Clash unless you guys want me to, but it's a really painful experience to try to go through. So that's why I'm not really going to go through much about that game unless you guys really want me to. Because, in all honesty, I've never beaten Eon Hero's Dark form, but I have battled it before. It's just a harder thing to do because every boss stage is timed. And that's what I don't like about it. There's no extra lives, and if you die, you have to start over. It's not really my favorite game, but it is a really cool game for like battling against certain bosses and dealing with new bosses as well. Final ability, and it's my most favorite, is I love Mecha. And you all know why. It's the coolest ability I've ever seen, and I used it, and I stand by the fact that it's still my most favorite ability of all time. Its attack style is the best. I could even rate it higher than 10 out of 10, and probably even rate it 11 or 12 out of 10. It's that good. I'm never gonna not use it, because it's probably my most favorite ability out there. It's not, and I'm not even really gonna use Hammer again, despite how OP it is, but it's only because Mecha is even more OP because of it being a distance-related ability, but it's not really too OP either. It's actually like pretty decent of an ability, but it's not like in the sword in Kirby in the Forgotten Land where you use the Morphonite sword. But it is still like a really fun ability to use. I'll only say 3 of my least favorite abilities before I waste your time any further. And my third least favorite ability is High Jump. You all know why. It's pretty hard to use. My second least favorite ability is Parasol. And my least favorite ability is Leaf. Why Parasol is my least favorite ability? It's very little damage. I did not want to do that. I pressed down by accident, and then I think I accidentally pressed Y or X. I pressed X, I guess. But I don't want to visit Merry Magoland. So, you all know why I hate Leaf. It's very little in damage, and the only useful part about it is the guard. The guard is pretty ridiculous, but that's pretty much it. That's all I'm doing for the ability analysis. I'm going to show you all the unlocked sub-games here, and then all of the challenge stages that I'm going to do. The rest of this you don't have to watch, because it's going to be mainly a montage of me playing through all of the challenge stages again.
In order to 100% the extra mode, and possibly the whole game. But, if you stay there, I will be reflecting off of the entirety of the game, meaning I will share off my thoughts about it. What I loved about this game, what I hated about this game, even though there's only one thing I hated, and it's not gonna be much because in the finale there's gonna be so much more that I discuss over it. So, if you want to stay here and watch me do all these challenge stages again, you shall. The enemies are the same. The only thing is, if I feel like I won't be able to do well, or if I die, then this will be in editing format for the fails. But the only things I'm showing off first are me winning through every challenge in 125% speed, with barely any it's either 125% speed, 150% speed, or 175% speed. I'm most likely going to decide on 175% speed because no matter what, there was barely anything cut here, and still I recorded this for a super long time because my ability analysis was straight up fast. But then after I complete this, it's going to pretty much spoil one thing that I will skip and just show in the finale. And turn off my commentary for it as well. All of it is the same, except for the difficulties are higher. Look at the stars of this. And it says true test instead of the actual other thing. And why is it higher difficulty? You all know why. It's because the enemies are bigger. And I'm going to skip all this because you already know how it's done. Oh, I forgot it's like this as well. I'm not that dumb. I already knew about that. I'll get it when I'm out of there. Ah! Say goodbye to the good old gold medal. I took damage, so I'm very sure I'm not getting platinum. It would surprise me if I still got a decent medal. Come on. That one was new. Yeah, no way I got platinum here. I did get gold. I was close to platinum there. I think if I didn't take any damage, I would have actually gotten the platinum. The breakdown is I completed all the coins and I defeated every foe. If I didn't take any damage, it would have given me another 1,000 points. So I would have actually gotten the platinum there. But I'm not caring about that. Let's go onward. Didn't even have to worry about cutting there. If I don't have to worry about cutting, it's just going to be shown in high speed. But like I said, if I failed at all, I'm just showing how I won it. Skipping all this, you already know how it's done. But it's going to be way harder because of how big these guys are. Curses. Come on, I wasn't trying to slide. In a way, this is actually way harder. Because I've never seen these coins before as well. Ooh. Man, it's way different. I'm getting the coins as well, I saw the coins. Thank goodness I didn't take any damage there. I took a hit before, yes, but it's fine. That was way too close. That's gonna be one of the close calls. Got gold, which is great. Breakdown. Okay, there it is. Down to the wire. Only gives you 100 points when you get down to the wire. And that's when you get under 10 seconds. I haven't gotten down to the wire before, so at least I'll be able to explain that. But I only took a hit, just like last time. No fails there. But that doesn't mean I'm not going to fail any of these. I'm just lucky so far. I got 69 lives. This is definitely... I freaking hate this one. I remembered how much I hated this one. The sand one wasn't too bad, but this one's going to be even worse. It's because you have to worry about using Whip Tornado even more. Come on. Thank goodness I got that. I'm very nervous for this. Oh, thank goodness I got that. I'll never not be nervous for this part, my word. It's so hard not to be nervous on that one. Crap, I didn't defeat every enemy. It's gonna delay my medal earnings. Oh yeah, I forgot about that. Whatever, I'm not gonna do it again. Ah, silver. I knew I was not gonna gold there. If I was able to whip that side, I would have actually gotten the gold medal. I'll play it again when I want to, but right now I'm not going to. I don't think I'm gonna do any better. This one's gonna suck. Look at the enemy sizes. This is why I didn't want to just show the end of this all the time. Let's see how well I do here. I do perfectly. Oh gosh darn it. Gotta do it again. There we go. Ah! You can see how hard this is. Oh, that was way too close. Gotta get that coin. I don't want to miss out on any of these. Gotta go inside this door. If I barely have the time. Got it. Down to the wire again. And that time I took no hits. It was just that hard. Oh, it doesn't give you points. It just doesn't... It doesn't lose you any points. But yeah, I got down to the wire. If I wasn't down to the wire, I actually would have gotten pretty decent scores there. But I was way too nervous to go any faster, so that's why I did it the way I did it. I feel like if I would have golden every single thing here, I would have actually gotten over 80 lives. This one's gonna suck. I've said it many times, and every time I say it, it actually doesn't. And that's why I keep doing it. Okay, I didn't know for sure if it was gonna keep loading up there. Come on. That was awful. Oh, okay. Not what I expected. I thought that wasn't gonna work. Ah, I missed the coins. Ah, I missed the coins! Dang it. That was actually pretty good. How I timed that. Coins over there. Darn it, I took damage from a Waddle Dee? Seriously? If I didn't take any damage, I would have gotten the gold. How did I take damage from a singular Waddle Dee? This one's just the same reading. The ability that you saw before, the key items, that one was different. The true test. That one wasn't there before. How did the fireballs not work? I'm not counting that as a necessary fail, but how did the fireballs not damage enough if I failed? That was so close. That is so hard. Death. I have to take care of that Bronto Bird after doing this. Wait, let me do that. Okay, that's actually interesting. Either I defeated that Bronto Bird, or it didn't actually make it count, but somehow it's still not there. Are you kidding me? Okay, this time I'm not under half an hour, under a half minute. Oh wow, that actually counted. Freaking. This is what I get for trying to do coin completion. Freaking. Nope! Down to the freaking wire, and I got gold for some odd reason. That one was actually down to the wire. 10 points. What what's worse is I think the mecha fail might be the only fail I get. Because I know the other abilities well, and I think I might actually complete it. Oh, whoops. Ah, I'm gonna reset that. That counts as a fail. Hopefully that counted. That went way better than last time. There we go. Come on. Gotta turn around. Come on! No, wait. Are you serious? What was the breakdown there? I didn't collect every coin, that's why. And I took a hit of damage. I don't even remember where the other door is. I'm not gonna bother trying, though. I'm not gonna try whip again, either. Hover flap. Oh, right, I was gonna say. Keep a close eye on your health, okay. Hover flap, airborne, almost no land. So it's pretty different for what they say there. You can read it if you want, but I'm not gonna bother. This one's way different with the coins. Because before, there were no coins around these things. You know what they are. Being extra careful in this one. I know for a fact that in the original version, I paid no attention to this. Also, this is way different. My word, I did not expect that. I thought it was going to be the same as the original, but of course you would never know when it comes to this mode. That's not what I was supposed to do. I took no damage, but the coins caught me by surprise. I have no idea. Okay, I got gold. What would surprise me the most is if this final challenge, for one thing, I succeed it, but for another thing, I get platinum there. I didn't get a platinum in the other one, I don't think, but I don't know. Ah, gratitude. You already know how this goes. It's 3.5 minutes long. I think this is different, though, for the theme. Nope, it's the same. This is the most nerve-wracking one of them all. Because of how many coins there are. I was nervous I missed coins. You would think that I shouldn't pay attention to those coins, but I have enough time to do so. Good. I still managed to get the coins and I still managed to defeat every enemy. Wow, I did it. I just swallowed, but thought I was gonna make it out there. Are you kidding me? How the heck was I not supposed to take a hit there? Or really, how the heck was that counted as a hit? Also, what the... Oh, right. Silly me. I was like, what the... Where's the thing? And then I realized. Well, I took a hit of damage. Not supposed to be an easy challenge I get, but the fact that I took a hit of damage there was actually pretty upsetting. I did it. You'd think that I didn't do it yet, but I did it. Come on.
I'm very sure I did it. Gold. That was my last gold medal. No fails, and I got 2 silvers. To be honest, I am surprised I got that. Seriously. I did not expect that I was actually going to do that in one try, but I did. The next clip is something I'll cut off because I know it's going to do something. I think it will show me that I 100%ed extra mode first and then show me the clip. And the clip I'm going to cut out and just put in the finale. But I did it. I hope that I don't have to get gold medals because they didn't let me do that before. But if I have to, then that'll be interesting, for one thing. I 100%ed extra mode. Now is it going to show me the clip? Because I'm betting it will. I did it. I don't even have to worry about getting gold medals in the challenge stages to unlock something special. I did everything I could in that game, and I got the 100% completion in the game, but I'm not gonna show you the 100% clip, and I'm not gonna show you what I got from 100% in the game, because my word, it actually shocked me still. But next time in Kirby's Return to Dreamland Deluxe, we go over the extra trial in Magolor Epilogue, because it told us that we had to get every gold medal or platinum medal in every stage of the Magolor Epilogue, along with completing every extra trial to unlock a special stage. And that will be a true 100% completion of Magolor Epilogue. The rest of the video will be cut because it is on my finale of this. So I'll see you guys next time. Bye.